Hey, Jeannie Lynch coming back to you today. Welcome back to Spiritual Stories Worth Sharing, a year-long focus on inspirational stories to motivate and inspire you to make a change in the world. And I'm really excited to bring on my next guest. Meet Mark S. Lewis, and you're going to find his call to action shortly. But let me set this up by asking a very important question. Do you get angry? Do you get frustrated? And are you fed up? And when you do experience those emotions, what do you do with them when they arise within you? Well, when you think about anger, don't you think it gets a bad rap? Because I'm pretty sure that Mothers Against Drunk Driving started with that mother being mad. Do you agree? We have Megan's Law, Black Lives Matter, right? It all starts from the spark of people being upset enough to make a call to action. Well, Mark Lewis felt the same way. He wrote a book called Give a Damn, and he believes that the problem with the world is, and he witnessed this firsthand, is that people just don't give a damn. So he started a movement, wrote a book, and he's out trying to share his story. And I can't wait to share that with you today. It truly is a beautiful spiritual story worth sharing. So whether you're listening to this on the Intuitive Mindset podcast or following this on my YouTube channel in HD color, you're going to want to stay listening and watching. That interview, that story is coming up next. Hey, Mark, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm so happy to take time out of your busy day to do this beautiful spiritual story worth sharing. And I already kind of did the layup, a little setup to your hook today to talk about what we're intending to talk about, which is how upset you are with your book here. So I know you're going to go into that in more detail, but my audience doesn't know you. So can you tell me a little bit about you before we get into your beautiful spiritual story?
Sure. I've always been kind of like an entrepreneur. I grew up in Rochester. I'm a Boston College grad, and I learned a lot about entrepreneurship. And then I got to New Orleans through IBM, actually. I graduated, got my MBA at Tulane, and worked for IBM for a number of years.
Okay.
And then I left IBM to start a business back in 1994 and ran that business for about 3 years. It was an internet business. I got kind of lucky. And then I've been doing odds and ends. I ran the Louisiana Technology Council, which was a nonprofit group for 10 years. That group was basically almost bankrupt, and I'd never been involved with a turnaround before. And so I put this plan together. I presented it to the marketplace, and my goal was really to help Louisiana grow in technology. And over those 10 years, we actually went from 49th out of 50 states to 32nd in technology employment. So I was very happy with that, but I had this entrepreneurial itch. I just couldn't get around it. So I went back into the entrepreneurial world, and I've been doing business coaching. I moderate CEO roundtables, and then I started writing a book in about 2010.
Okay.
Was when I first started. Yeah. So that's my background.
Is when you say the book, is the book we're going to talk about today, or was there other books involved in the entrepreneurship?
There was a second edition to the book that you see in the background there. And frankly, if you ever told me I was going to write a book 10 years ago, I would have said, you're absolutely crazy. I'm not a writer. I'm a business guy. I'm not a good English guy. But I saw these things that were going on that kind of irritated me, and I started writing everything down.
Yeah, I love that. First off, let me connect with you too on the entrepreneur level. My longer in banking, but 25 years in finance, my niche was helping women start businesses. So I used to get in trouble with the executives who wanted me to do the big deals, but I wanted to work with people who were coming into the market, didn't know how to market, didn't know what finance was, didn't know how to get on paper, So,
yeah, that's awesome. My background's in finance, and I have a number of women in my CEO roundtables. And frankly, what I like about the women's side is that women have more empathy than guys when it comes to running a business. They're more free-flowing and more like empathetic and helping out. And those strong women leaders are really remarkable people.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. I'm one of them.
Yes, you are.
I love that. What we uncovered about women, and I worked with a national group called Key for Women. Have you ever heard of
I
that?
have not.
Okay, so it supports women in business. What we uncovered, or through that work, was that if a woman, I hate to stereotype, but bear with me, I can do it, you can't, right? If they have the good haircut, they're more apt to tell 10 friends. And so what they realized is that women had that nurturing aspect and wanted to share with other women. And so the program grew itself organically because they would.
That's needed more and more in business environments, that empathy, that concern for others. And as a business coach, and I'm seeing more and more that I really focus on culture, because culture is really who drives the business. And the world has become more narcissistic than empathetic. And I'm trying to get CEOs to learn that is a really good trait of an effective leader.
Well, that's a good layup to what we're going to talk about today, was your book and kind of how we came to meet. So let's dive right in. I'm going to say what was going on in your life. Let's focus on your new initiative, because I want a call to action. I want people to join what your initiative is. So I'm really excited about sharing that. It really lined up with my work too. So what was going on in your life that caused this kind of aha moment that catapulted you to write this book?
Well, as a child growing up, I wasn't very spiritual, but my first marriage, I joined, my kids went to a Catholic church, and I met this Monsignor, and I really became drawn to him, and I became more religious, and then I actually didn't get baptized until I was like 42 years old.
Okay.
It was a really transitional moment for me, for something that came over me. And I learned a lot, and I then began realizing and looking at the environment and how people treated others and how they acted became more of a self-centeredness than I just didn't like it. So what I did is I took this dictation equipment, and every time I saw something, I'd record it. And then I got like 60 pages of all these incidents that I saw. And then I did some research about what was causing this. And I came up with a lot of things that I started to write the book. But here's the problem. I started this in 2010.
Okay.
And I kept going and going. 3 years later, then I go off to the library and write the first chapter. And I'd be there the whole day. And then I'd take 3 months off because I had work to do. I couldn't get to it. And this evolved over 4, 5, 6 years. But then a remarkable thing happened. God said, hit me on top of the head and said, look, this is what you need to do. She was about 25 and in the graduate school, wanted to learn more about business. She did some good work. And after 2 weeks, I said, I've been trying to get this book out. And then she lit up like a Christmas tree. And I go, what? She goes, I love editing books and screenplays. And I said, boy, I've got a job for you. And 6 months later, I had my book.
The first one. I love it.
Yeah, the first one.
I love it. So let me take you a step back there, because you were saying that all these pages and stuff, were you just monitoring and watching and looking at the behavior of others and the things that were upsetting you? Were you keeping track of that for a while? Is that the
but I was just saying, like, why are you doing that? Why are you throwing garbage out of your window when you're going down a highway? Would you throw that same garbage in the middle of your living room? No, absolutely not. And then I got to realize, when people really, what I call give a damn, is if I can internalize something that affects me, then I'll do something about it. I'll give a damn. But once I get outside my internal domain, I don't have that same attitude. And that's what really struck me. We really need to have the same kind of attitude, as if we're thinking internally in things that affect us. How can we affect it externally and to the benefit of others? And that's what spearheaded the book, to be honest with you.
I love it. And look where we are too. We're watching the news, right? We're probably divided between whether it's real or not, or we should be wearing our mask or not. Should we be going back to work or not? And is it too soon, too late? So we've divided the country too in these beliefs that we're going through. And the truth is, you got to do what is being called to be done right now. So whether I feel like I need a mask, if I go into a place and people are feeling threatened, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Do what the locals do, right? And that's out of consideration, right?
And that's the whole thing. Out of respect and a consideration of others, you should wear a mask. Those people who don't think they're invincible. Oh, it's not going to affect me. That's not what it's about. It's what kind of effect you have on other people. And
I love that. Let me share one with you too, since we're having that beautiful conversation. I do 20 miles on the bike every day. And my beautiful Florida, the path is kept, it's manicured. They have a blower that comes once a day and cleans it out. Well, I happened to run into this 92-year-old woman sitting on a bench one day and just got to talking to her. And I said, so, how long you been in Venice, blah, blah, blah. And she had told me that her job in life in the last 10 years has been keeping the trail clean, that she runs a committee of people who clean up the plastic bottles on the trail. Now, I had no idea that certainly there was a 92-year-old woman who was sweating and I'm biking and enjoying the trail. That the mindfulness around her being considerate to others, and I was receiving the benefit of a beautiful trail. So to your point.
see, here's what's really critical that a lot of people don't know, and it's in the book. When you have a person like that, first of all, they're out there exercising, which is important. Second of all, they're out there doing something voluntarily for the good of others. And that there's statistics that show when you do these things for the good of others, you internally feel better, and therefore there's less stress.
Yes.
And therefore you're happier. And when you're happier and you're less stressful, guess what happens?
Yeah.
You live longer, you're healthier. That's what everybody wants. So when you do all these good things for other people, you live happy, you're happier, you have a better, healthy life, everybody wins.
Yeah. In fact, we did a video yesterday with a gentleman and that same message came up. It's like when you're in service to self or service to others, and always choose the path of service to others. So I love that. Hey, let's keep going with this. This is great. Obviously, how did this change your life? Did this call to action, this book, and did this put you on different railroad tracks and now this is what you're doing, or are you still doing the entrepreneuring?
Well, I'm doing that because I have to actually earn a living, but now I have this mission. The mission is to help people understand their mindset, especially younger generation, and how we're thinking. And I think the younger generation is not attuned to the respect and to the accountability that we were taught when we were growing up, because we had that direction. And there's a lot of factors affecting this. One is what people see on TV.
Well, here we are opening up the door. You and I are meeting on Zoom today. People used to come in to do interviews with me. So the technology, obviously, we're heading to more virtual because of where we are with the social distancing right now. And this is going to be different for us. So we're going to have to learn how to, get the technology up and run it and be professional on it, right?
Absolutely.
Respectful and all that. So it's a call to action.
Well, the good thing about it is that the older generation now can communicate to the younger generation through Skype and Zoom, and now they have that face-to-face interaction. That's a big positive. But when it comes to business, that interaction face-to-face is so much more beneficial because it's all about relationships and how you establish those relations. This is good, but face-to-face is better.
Agreed. So I love this question in my interviews, and it's, if you knew then what you know now, what would you have done differently?
Well, this probably goes back to my first marriage, and I tried the best I could to save it. We were married 17 years, and we did counseling, and I think I probably could have done better at maybe taking more of the responsibility in the very beginning to make it work. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't that to be. Yeah. So I was single for about 12 years. If I could have met my current wife 12 years ago, we've been together now 7. I mean, she is absolutely the best thing that ever happened to me. We're having a partner like that where you can have respect and you have trust, and you can take care of each other was probably the most rewarding thing that's ever happened in my life.
Well, okay, I'm so connecting to you right now. Let's just tout our others, right? Yep. Had the same experience, single for years, met my man. And I said yesterday to somebody, why is it, I'm 56 now, hate to give my age away, but why is it that at 56, I had to learn what real love is? I'm in it in the relationship that I'm in right now. And it's too bad that people have to go kiss all those frogs, right? To get to
Now it's
that.
part of the learning experience, and I'm a slow learner, I guess. But what I learned from my wife, and my parents weren't very loving. They attended all my basketball games, baseball games, all that. They were connected to me, but they didn't have that loving touch, and it felt awkward for me, going through that. But when I met my current wife, their family's very loving, and now saying "I love you" doesn't feel awkward. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It feels
Good.
and holding hands felt awkward. All that stuff of course, it's made me a better person, a more loving person, but I like to hug. Now, it's hard to hug outside of our environment now because of the coronavirus, but I'm going to miss that actually.
Yeah, we're going to get back to that. That's
Yeah.
the goal, right?
Yep.
My question for the book is, does it lay out like tips and how to give a damn, or is it your story of the give a damn? So take me
The way
through
it
that.
works is, I'm I have the benefit of Steve Gleason. He wrote my opening forward, and I give back 20%. He was a famous New Orleans Saints football player that got ALS.
Okay.
And it for 7 years. And so all the proceeds 20% of the proceeds go towards helping find helping find a cure for ALS. But what I learned was, what were the causes of how we think? What affects how we think? And there's technology, and there's religion, and there's wealth,
Beliefs.
and there's government. All these things factor into where we are today. So I've identified how we got to where we are today, compared it to where we were 50 years ago, and then what do we need to do to change, and how do we think differently? And so it's basically on being aware of what's around your surroundings. And I always ask this question: what would I do if I always knew that God was watching my every move, or my mom was watching what my next move would be? Would I do the same thing?
Yeah.
And the answer would probably, you don't want to disappoint your mom, you don't want to disappoint God, so you do the right thing. As difficult as it is, it takes time. That's what people have to do. And then if you do that, society gets better.
Yeah. Oh, I just love that. I was going to ask a question. What is your message to others? You just nailed it. That is absolutely the best message you could give others. I love that. So we're not going to change that.
Hard. It's very hard. It's difficult because, look, I wear these wristbands, this wristband on my wrist, because I need to remind myself continually, and I'm a whole lot better than I ever was, but you got to have those reminders. And what I'm trying to do is create a theme that the whole world can adopt. Give a damn. And that is a trigger point. Says, I got to do the right thing. I got to do what's best for others. And guess what? It's best for me as long as you don't expect it. Here's the fallacy.
Yeah.
Do something for good, for somebody for good, and it's good. You're doing it for the right reason, but don't expect anything in return. It's going to happen. But once you expect it, that's when you become more self-centered. So you do something with the expectation in return. That's a no-no. It'll come. Karma, God, it all works out. Yeah. You're going to benefit from it.
Oh, Mark, I love that. I love that message. And I teach that same message too. So I'm so glad to hear you say it out loud. How do people join your movement? I joined your movement. So I'll have all your links and stuff, but this call to action, as you call it, we can follow this movement with you. Do we go right to your website? Take us there so we can connect with you.
Yeah, what I've done, Jeannie, is I've established what I call an American Accountability Pledge.
Okay.
And on my website at giveadamnbook.com, you go join the movement, and you click on join the movement, and there's 2 drop downs. One is the Congressional Accountability Pledge. That's a whole different story. And then the American Accountability Pledge. So if I can get like 10 million people to join that pledge, we can go to Congress and say, look, guys, you guys aren't adhering to pledging to doing the right thing and making decisions that's in the best interest of America, not to get votes, all those kind of things. You can look at that Congressional Accountability Pledge. My goal is to go to Congress and give every one of them a copy of my book.
I love that.
That may or may not work, but if I can get the press or people behind me say, look, Congress, we need to give a damn about the American people, not do it based on money and votes. And it's in my book. I mean, a lot of politicians do that to try to get votes. That's what they can do. GiveADamnBook.com, American Accountability Pledge, or they can go to my Facebook and follow me too.
Okay. Well, we'll put the links too down below. And right now, I hate to keep going to the coronavirus controversy, but just where we are in the world, but it's worth noting the pledge that they're keeping us safe and to follow the movement that way, right?
Sure.
It also could be seen as controlling. So I get that's two sides of the fence here, but really genuinely caring. We're talking about real, genuine caring. What would God think? What would your mother think? Accountability, right?
Right. And
peel that back a little.
Mentor of some sort, someone we can look up to, and someone we can be accountable to. And what's not better than being accountable to God, or being accountable to your mother, or being accountable to somebody who's very important in your life, because you don't want to let them down.
Yeah. I love that.
Things. But here's what people have to realize. When you do this, your life improves, other people's lives improves, and you become a happier person. Who doesn't? This happened today. Perfect example. I was helping my father-in-law. He had some technical issues on his computer, and I was going through it. And I'm not that technical, but I was so ingrained because I wanted to fix what his problem was. You know what? And I fixed it. I got it. And I was the happiest person in the world because it made his life easier. And so that just is engaging to me, and the positivity and the effect you can have on other people.
I love that. Beautiful connection too to the word trust shows up for me. And the pure definition of trust is knowing that someone around you, whether it's the government, God, who has your best interests at heart, your partner, right? And that they're always going to put your needs over theirs. If everybody did that in the world, wouldn't the world be a better place?
Well, when you think about it, if everybody put other people's interests, not to the detriment of, food, shelter, and all that kind of thing.
Yes, agreed.
But there's a balance there. But when you start doing, I can't even imagine what the world would look like if everybody was that way, helping and serving. That everybody's that way when we have a very serious event, like a hurricane.
Right.
People are devastated. Everybody comes out in droves to help everybody out. But after it's over, we go back to our normal ways. Even in the coronavirus, everybody's out there wanting to help. Now, there's some exceptions, obviously.
Yes. Let's assume together that we're coming around that final 220, that we've hit the peaks, right? We're at the worst, or where it's behind us, in a sense that with this positive thing that we're talking about today, this call to action, we can be part of the solution. Do you agree?
I totally agree with that.
Yay.
And when you say 220, are you talking about what?
What's that? That's my own little language for you're coming around the final 220 on a mile.
The 440 stretch.
Yeah, it's the home stretch.
Okay.
I mean, I'd like to think we're approaching that.
Yeah, I would too. That's my mission, is to try to make people more aware, one person at a time, how important this is. Yeah. And the Give a Damn theme is the brand that I want everybody to kind of adopt. And when you hear it, then it already gets into your psyche, and then you can think first before you act, because that's a danger point too. People act before they think.
Tell the story about the grocery cart, because I have to tell you, I went out and watched that little blurb that you had on the news, and I called my man in. I'm like, listen to this guy. I want to work with this guy. I love that story. I know it's many of the 60, or you talked about all the notes you took. Tell us the grocery store story so my viewers and my listeners can hear.
Well, an identification of a true, I think, give a damn person is the grocery, the cart, the shopping cart, right? So when you go in and you go take your food and you bring it back to your car, it's just unnerving that so many people just leave the cart. You can go 10 feet and put the shopping cart into the little cart bay there, or better yet, take it back. It takes 30 seconds, right? But people are generally lazy, and then they offer excuses. Well, it's only 10 feet, and that's why we keep people employed, because they got people coming around and putting in there. There's an excuse, and that excuse is horrible, because we can always find excuses to do something to justify what we're doing, even though it's wrong. And think about that. Find an excuse that justifies the wrong thing, and people do that all the time. So putting the shopping cart back into the bay or taking truly identifies somebody that cares and is concerned about others and doing the right thing.
Well, I have to tell you, where were you 35 years ago when I was shagging carts? Okay. I wish you were in my life back then, because I was the person responsible for getting the carts.
Great.
Back then. Too funny. So listen, I think that is beautiful for you and I to kind of, finish our interview too. But my question to you is, when you knew you and I were going to talk today, you knew I had this whole mission of spiritual stories worth sharing, and whether people are listening to this on the Intuitive Mindset podcast or following it on our YouTube channels, what was your hope or your intention to make sure that you got to say to people? This would be your chance to say it right now.
Well, my hope is to step back and view where the world is today versus where it was 40 to 50 years ago.
Yeah.
40 to 50 years ago, it was more that we had duties and responsibilities. Now people think they have rights and privileges. And so there's less accountability, there's more dependence on other people to do things, whereas we need to be dependent on ourselves to do the right thing at all times. So we have to think differently. We have to internalize something that we know that would affect us, but know that what we do could affect other people. Here's another perfect example. Old man's walking across the street. I saw this, it's in the book. He gets hit by a car and he flips over. It's going 20 miles an hour and every car just went around him and around him. And I go, why isn't anybody helping this guy out? He's hurt. And a car, 30 seconds, felt like 2 hours. And finally somebody got out and they helped the guy, right?
Yeah.
He had major injuries. And then I saw a dog. A dog was hit by a car on a major highway. Another dog went in and grabbed the dog by the mouth and put it in the median. Here's what happened. The dog lived, and yet the old man died. And that really struck me as something that dogs are not supposed to be smarter than we are. We're smarter. We've got intelligence. Not that they're not. But that was a true defining moment, because if it was me and I pulled up and that was my grandfather, guess what I'd do? I'd get out right away and help him. We don't do that. We have to think that way and what we can do to help and serve others, and then everybody wins. I I'm going to find out.
Okay, you can't be long on these answers.
All right,
2 words. Music's keyed up. We're flying through. First off, before we go into the rapid fire, thank you for your time, Mark. Thank you for your call to action. Thank you for giving a damn. We're going to give a damn and follow you. So I love your call to action, and I'm happy to be part of it. Okay, ready? Here we go.
Yep.
What is your favorite? You can't say the Bible. I only say that because, you preference this. Okay. What is your favorite spiritual book that you would love to share with others? That kind of got you on.
Well, I thought about this question. I said it wasn't really a spiritual book, but It was my introduction to Monsignor Swenson, who got me more into the religious environment and who baptized me. That was more endearing than anything in any book that I've ever read.
Well, I love the contract between you and him. That is beautiful. The world needs what in order to be changed? If you don't say give a damn.
Yeah, I think we need more leaders like Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, leaders who have this human element to them that shows empathy, because our leaders today are not that way, and we don't have very good leadership across the world for that matter. I want more leaders that can change.
Got it. Better leaders, great answer.
Yep.
We all come with kind of a life lesson. We think we're taking the PhD in a certain course. What do you think your life lesson is, Mark?
My life lesson, I guess, is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And so when you do those kind of things, you would act differently. So I like that quote. I also have a quote that a priest said to me once. He said, never underestimate the power of being kind to somebody.
Oh, I love that. I love that. What do you love about yourself, Mark? Next question.
I think I'm a very positive person, probably overly positive, but I like to put smiles on people's face. And we do that by being positive.
I love that. Thank you. What are you doing when you're experiencing joy?
I would say when I'm playing with my puppy dogs, they're fun. They're so loving. When you think about a dog, they're always so great to see when you come through that door. They never talk back to you. Being with my wife is another one. Just
Love that.
looking at her and just being blessed that she's part of my life. And everybody says, boy, you're the luckiest guy in the world. I said, no, you better believe I am. I have the greatest wife in the world. So that's, it's a lot of factors. A lot of things bring me joy. Just helping others is another thing, like what I do with my father-in-law today.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day and your busy schedule to give a damn and show up. I really appreciate that. So thank the audience for listening and watching. And again, please connect to Mark and his beautiful mission. And I'm happy to meet you today.
You've been terrific. I've enjoyed every second with you. So thanks again for all your time and support.
Thank you. We'll see each other again, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye, everyone.